Hello, hello, I am back. Aren't you all so lucky? Not really. So, today we're doing a wonderful deep dive into my own Notion. Hello there, Notion Goth. Lovely to see you today. Let me know if you're in the chat, where you're coming in from, and all that juicy stuff, what you're looking forward to hearing about today, because we're going to dive into Notion. Hey, Kim, great to see you. Great to see you. Nice to see you here today. Lovely. And today we're talking about how I use Notion, and we're going to take a pretty in-depth tour on how I'm personally using Notion. I recently went through an interesting spell of switching to ClickUp, which some of you may already know about. I temporarily was in ClickUp for a short time, and now I'm back in Notion because even though Notion isn't perfect and Notion is not for everybody, Notion is for me. So without further ado, let's get started. But before I kind of dive really deep into this, I just want to talk a little bit about why I'm using Notion now, like why I'm using it. Whenever it comes to seeing people talk about what they're using and the tools and all of that lovely stuff, I temporarily lost my mind. That is slightly accurate. I temporarily lost my mind. No, what I was hoping for with ClickUp was I could get some of the features that I needed, and I thought that were a priority for me as I was moving forward with my business. As I shifted from business in Notion to simplicity specialist, I wanted to have more automation so I could focus on serving clients and things like that. But honestly, the automations that I gained from using ClickUp did not replace the frustration I had with how they manage projects and tasks and things like that, and how very closed the software is. I kind of thought that I would be okay with having slightly more restrictions, with the benefit of having more, I suppose, systems and systematic stuff in there. But honestly, it became a right pain in my ass. So I kind of came back and went, okay, so what exactly do I need? What exactly is important to me? Like, it all came back to setting my priorities of what I actually needed for my system. And for me, I wanted something that was easy to access, that looked good. After dealing with ClickUp's UI, I was like, I don't want to deal with that no more. I want something that feels good when I come in every time, instead of what is rather grim and very systems focused, just looking at all the information at once. So without further ado, let's start you on the journey of my Notion system. And as I go through, I'm going to explain not just what it does and how it works, but also why I'm doing it, because that's actually really important. Hello, Tina. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. It's great to see you here. Looking forward to showing you around my Notion, a deep dive. I will, of course, show as much as I can, but there may be a few things where I rather panically remove it from the screen, but hopefully we'll see a lot. So let's switch to a better view. Welcome to my Notion. Now, we're here on my kind of HQ, which is the place where I start my day. Every day I come in. Let's just make sure I have the chat there so I can see you if we have any questions. There we go, Tina, thank you. And so at the top here, we have my areas. Now, I call it areas in the loosest sense of the word. I honestly think of it as my dashboards. These are my dashboards. They're the areas of my business, but are also dashboards which pull data together from various different places. I have a fairly standard setup. I have a projects database. I have a master task database. And I also have kind of like a notes database, but it works a little bit differently. And I will show you as we go on. So we start off at the top, the areas. We're going to dive into most of these areas today because I really like them. And the purpose of me having these areas here is, one, it looks kind of nice with a lovely orange color scheme, because in case that wasn't obvious, I really like orange. And so I have each of the different sections. It'd probably be quite hard to read what's written on here, but we've got my playground, which is to have a record of all my products, past and present, and to brainstorm new ideas. When I'm launching something new, I like to brainstorm and pull it all together. Then I have my people, which is the people that I work with, I work alongside, or people that I respect and look up to. Then we have my content dashboard, which is very, very new and still in process of being updated, which is a place for me to find all of my content, my lives, my blog posts, and additional resources for templates. So my content dashboard directly integrates into my playground. I have a separate content dashboard because I want to keep my tasks to tasks and my content to content. You can, of course, have it as projects, but I'm moving away from the projects terminology for me because it was just getting in the way and I wasn't enjoying working in it. But we'll talk about that when I scroll down a little bit further. Then we have my retainers. So primarily I work one-on-one with people on a retainer basis, helping them with their tech, making their business simpler, making their launches easier, and all of that lovely stuff. And so I have a specific dashboard that is zoomed down into just seeing what the retainers are and what my retainers are doing, the tasks that I've got. Often most of my retainers also use Notion because they did a Notion build with me before they became a retainer. And what I did there was import their tasks database inside. And it's a beautiful way of working. It's a nice, easy way of seeing my system and their system. I may take a little bit dive in there. Then we have my learning library, which is probably the one I'm most excited to share, which is basically all of the courses, all of the books, all of the articles, and everything that I read, and all of the memberships I'm a member of. I'm a member of multiple memberships and I like lots of courses. And so this is kind of my hub of learning tons and as much as possible. Then I have a couple of smaller dashboards. We've got my Swipey or Swipey. For people who know Dora the Explorer, that would be funny. Otherwise, you'll just be thinking, what an immature sap. Oh, well. Swipe is all of the swipe files. So when I get inspiration from someone, when I'm on the computer or when I'm looking at an article, I want to add it into my A&E database. And then I separate that down into different sections and see things in different views. And then finally, meeting planners. So I have a lot of meetings. I do a lot of meetings with my clients. And so I want to keep track of all the meetings that I've got upcoming and coming in the future. And so I have all of my meetings in there. If there's no questions, I'm going to take a very quick sip of tea while seeing if there's any questions in particular. Lovely sip of tea. Kim has just said, when it comes up on it's okay. There you go. Kim's just said, you like courses? I didn't. No, it's funny that, isn't it? I don't think I've ever spoken about how much I love taking courses. I'm really excited about an in-depth view in your learning library. Yeah, me too, because I'm really proud of that library. It's one of my favorites, like absolutely, of all of the things. Kim, don't get them started. Yeah, no, do. So we have the boring bit, of course. We have my tasks. Now, originally, when I first started having this main dashboard, I only saw my tasks for today. I had a filter, which is basically saying it's assigned to me when the due date is today. Now, or before today. Now, recently, I've actually started expanding my view to see in the next week so that I can start planning a little bit more ahead. This is to replace my weekly dashboard, which I originally had, because it was really frustrating to have to keep like moving tasks around. If you're not sure about what that is, there was a recent blog post that I wrote about this, about why I moved over. But the summary is, before I had automatic weeks where basically I just used a Kanban view of Monday to weekend, I think it was Monday to Friday and then a weekend. And as I moved it across, it automatically set the days of the week based on whether I connected it up to the week. But I got really bored of doing that every time. It became a problematic and a pain in the backside and was so irritating to keep doing it every single time. So in the end, I removed it and just simplified it down. So we have all of this stuff here, and then we've got making sure that all done tasks is not ticked. And then I have the wonders of this lovely formula, which Danny has created, who's so kindly joined us. And you can see when things are overdue, when things need to be done, and how many days until they need to be completed. So something I have recently added inside of here, so let's just boot this one up. Boot it up. Yes, it's a computer. Let's load it up. We have a few new properties, which Danny's going to love. Danny loves it when I have new properties, don't you, Danny? New properties makes Danny smile. Lots of properties make Danny smile. Still not many, but there's still more. So starting from the top, we have the done, which is quite simple. Related person is related to my people database. So any of the people that I work with, if this is a task to do with a project that I'm working on with them, or something that I'm working with them, or something I need to send them, I bring that in here. We then have related content. Well, we have the due date and the due date. I'm exploring this right now. I was never a fan of do and due. Because I just felt it was unnecessary. But as I've been working more with my team, it's become more apparent that this do and due is really important, especially as we're kind of moving away from project-based work, because a lot of what we do is very flexible, apart from the client stuff, which we'll cover later on. Then we have a few relational databases, related content, related identity. So identity is a very, very brand new thing and barely utilized at the moment, but it will be used soon, which is basically who I want to be, what I want to be seen as. So actually this one here, create new version of membership onboarding, because I want to be seen as an expert ConvertKit user. It's sort of like goals, but we're calling it something different, which means it's completely and utterly different, of course. Then we have related offer, which links to my offers database, as well as a few others. We have who it's assigned to, or it's now changed all the order. Thanks for that. Related to a project, the old dashboard view, which right now I keep that in just in case there's something that I'm missing. Then we have the project due, which is if I'm using a project, it will automatically pull in that project due date. And then we have the related content. And then if the related content is related to an offer, it will appear here, as well as the offer as well as the offer here. So we've got related content offer, so related offer or related content offer. Then we have the priority, which I honestly never really use. That's more primarily for my team rather than me. If it's related to a meeting, so I have a separate meetings database purely because I want to be able to assign tasks. I can, of course, use subtasks if I wanted to hold all of my meetings in a task database, but I prefer having the more flexibility, being able to do multiple templates, because I do multiple types of projects and stuff. I want to keep that nice and flexible for me. And then who I'm waiting on. Whenever I select one of these, it actually says who I'm waiting on. It's just a little update as a quick scan to see what's happening. So that's how I use that. And that's kind of my tasks database. These are very old. Most of these don't exist, most of these don't get used, apart from this one here, which is when I'm sending a call recording to someone, I like to have this recording link, the quick recap, what we covered, quick win and next steps. You'll see how that works. Yeah, a bit more. Kim's just asked, will you talk more about moving away from project-based working? That sounds interesting. Yeah, happily. So for me, with what I'm doing recently, especially at the moment, I'm working long term with my clients. So they're not really a project because they don't really end. My projects are primarily focused on, like, if it's more than a month of work or I'm having an end date, then I may create a project. For certain things, I still create projects. But for me, like the way that I work, I now have content, which is a separate space, which is a separate database, because I prefer having less templates but more databases, purely because then I don't have to worry about moving around. And that was kind of the main other reason why I used projects. So for me, it is a case of I'm no longer working on as many project-based stuff. When I build, I'm constantly building my website and growing my website, so they kind of come into tasks or go under the content. Sip of tea. So for me, the project based, and honestly, I was getting tired of the trying to set up multiple types of projects, multiple types of this, multiple types of that. I'm more focused on working long term with clients rather than just here's the start date, here's the end date, that's it. And the only one-to-one work I was primarily doing was day-long stuff anyway, so it became kind of frustrating and annoying and pointless. But I'll dive into what's left of my project database a little bit later. So will you talk? Oh, that's one I've just I just showed that one. So coming back in here to to the task database. I mean, honestly, it's not something that anyone hasn't seen before. It's all very kind of standard. I have it filtered so it only shows the next 10. Yeah, 10. And there's a few more things and all that lovely stuff there. Going down, I have my journal, which I'm still playing with. Then we have my meeting notes and Notion events. So here, this is where my meeting notes database is. It shows me what meetings I have today. When I want to see meetings of multiple meeting sessions, or like in a calendar view, I come here to see the meeting planner there. But mainly it's just a quick glance for me to see. And on the right-hand side, I have my lovely calendar, which shows all of my events. This is an Indify embed, which I absolutely love. I love being able to kind of cross-check from here to here. If there's something missing, then I can easily click here to add it in. I notice that there's one missing here. And that was completely planned, you see. So I can show you. So we can come in here, copy this, just hit meeting notes, boom, like that. I can remove that. We can come down here and put that in there. Set the date and time. You've seen all this before. Course. And then we can relate it to a membership who it's assigned to, which is normally me. And I have a number of lovely, 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 lovely templates. I've gone through a huge rehash of all of my templates because I wanted to create something a bit better. So I now have a new discovery call template, which I'm going to go through now, which has a top section which is kind of all about them. So it's just quick notes I find. Whenever I book a discovery call with someone, I go and create notes and just look them up and marginally stalk them a little bit to see where they are in socials, where they are in their business, so that I can be more help. Then underneath here, I have a series of 3 things: what they might need, what they might want, and some quick wins for them. So on a discovery call, I like to provide them with some answers straight away so that they know exactly. So they have a good quick win from me. It means I can have a good conversation. I can actually support them instead of just being a 30-minute, sales call. Then we have, that's there. Then we have kind of my notes. So while I'm talking to them, I'm just going to write notes, jot down ideas, jot down things so I can see exactly, just making notes on what's going on. Then I have my outline on the side here, which is kind of like reminding me, general reminders on what to do. So that I can make sure that I don't end up going over my time that I assign for the slot, which is something that I'm very, very good at doing because I like to talk. Then under here, I have my recap, which is just basically what I spoke about, the next steps. And if they want to work with me, I send a link to an offer of mine. Then we have a page pre-created, which has all these lovely little things while we wait for Notion to load. If Notion breaks today, I'm going to be really upset. T. Does anyone have any more questions or want me to recap anything? Can't see anything. Let me know while I'm waiting for Notion to load. Come on, Notion. I think we're all tired of seeing this. There we go. There we go. Lovely. Now we're back again. Thank you very much, Notion. And that is literally a page that gets shared with the client. It's the email with the viewing and download link. It's what we spoke about, the next step, and the offers for them. So that way I can send this to Rebecca, who will send all this information off. If they are a Notion client of mine, I send it off literally as is. If it is for someone else, she transfers it into an email and sends that off. Let's go back now. Go back now, Notion. Okay, fine. And so this is when the very awesome shortcut of Control or Command 1 works beautifully. So that's a very brief look at one of my meeting databases. Then we have a client call, which is kind of what I'm phasing in. You'll notice that actually my system is not the cleanest thing in the world because that is exactly what's going to happen sometimes. It's not going to be clean. And so here we have a very similar thing. However, I have a few additional things that I've added in. So I have an A&E resource. So if I am talking to a client and they either share a resource or I think of a resource that would be really useful for them, this is a self-referring filter, so self-referring database. So you can see whether our meeting contains client call or the related person contains client call, and it brings that in here. And so often when I find a piece of a resource that's useful to them, I share that with them here. Then it links to their meeting. So it's like meeting contains this. This is incorrect. I need to change that. Thank you. There we go. Fix that. You didn't see nothing. And then once again, I have an outline, a space for notes. And so this one is primarily used with my active clients. There's a slight change, slight difference, but it is pretty much the same thing. And that for me is what I find really useful. The only difference inside of here is if we open this, you can see the type is client, whereas the other one is type is discovery. Then we have the spoke about, the client next steps, our next steps. Then we have my lovely database in here with a self-referring filter to the client call. So that basically when I can come in here, drag this in here, and it will assign that and set that up beautifully. I'm doing that so we don't have that breaking. So yeah, that's that one. And there are a couple of other ones, but we will kind of dive into those as we carry on. Then this is just a reference for the Notion events. So this is the public calendar that's been poured in here. And then we have my active projects. So I'm still phasing out, still deciding what I want to do like properly with this. But here we have a number of templates. And normally the only ones I'm using these days is the Notion build and the launch in a day. So these are two kind of offers I have. So when someone works with me to build their Notion, used to be 3 weeks, and now it's kind of just general ongoing. We kind of go through what they want, their desired outcomes and their system needs, the dashboards they want created, the project types. This creates everything for me, so I don't have to think about it. And then under here, we have the business dashboard, which is a pre-created template, which is a kind of like starter kit for people so that they can get started. It's based on my own system, so it just gets them up and running really fast. So I can focus on helping them get used to Notion, because that's something that often people struggle with. It's that blank screen of, here is Notion, it's blank, there's nothing for you to look at. What are you going to look at? This gives most business owners who I work with primarily the whole dashboard set up ready to go. It's also a template that you can get. And so that's kind of like my Notion build project, which once again doesn't have an end date normally. And then we have a new template, which is an offer that I'm working on. A little sip of tea there. And this is a launch in a day. So one of the new offers that I have is being able to launch in a day. And this helps make this as easy as possible. So at the top, we have each individual step. It's kind of like a guideline of how to do a launch in a day, so that if for whatever reason I'm not well or I can't make it, it means one of my team members can do it. So at the top, we have the tool, the tech used for the launch. I have a list of, give it a few, a list of all the tech that I support and use and know about. I have a full database for that, and it's not showing any of the entries. That's a good, there we go. And it shows all of the options of tech and things that I use. And then on here, we've got the required for this launch. So when I'm working with someone, we go through, ask them what tech they use, and then we drag from here over to here, and that assigns it to this project here. Once it catches up, it will catch up. It will catch up. Hitting refresh. Not caught up yet. Good. Why? Okay, that's fine. We're just gonna delete that and pretend that didn't happen. Looks like relations are still being a little bit buggy. But anyway, and so you have that. We close that in so that people can see. And these are the things that need to happen. They need to have a shopping cart or an email marketing platform, and that's there. Then I have full setup instructions for onboarding and member cancellation. This one's specifically for a Mighty Network membership launch. And so all of the onboarding instructions, literally step by step. This is not for the client. This is for me and my team, so that we know exactly what's needed, what needs to be created for ConvertKit and MailerLite. Which is not exactly the most interesting thing in the world. And then we have products set up and connected to email marketing, the instructions for ConvertKit, and then a couple of links to paid Zapier integrations, which is something that I use, and then the information that needs to be sent to the client with literally all of the visual onboarding, how things work, the cart links, the email sequence, the Zapier, and the miscellaneous links. This is all sent to a client so that they can see exactly how the launch works in a simple way as physically possible. And all of this is nice and simple, which is great. Automatically preset a focus project, status assigned, in progress. It should really be assigned to both me and my team. There we go. And then the dates there, as well as a number of other little bits and bobs that aren't that useful at the moment. Now, let us, from there, unless there are any other questions about the projects, I'm probably going to jump into the learning library. If you have any questions, let me know while I take a nice sip of my tea before it goes cold. If you have any questions, if you've just joined us, let us know. All the lovely stuff. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to go back to here. You can see a full page of me sipping my tea. Like so. Cool. I am now rehydrated. Let's go back into Notion again. Boop. There we go. So let's jump into my learning library, because I know that that is a one that people want to see. So we're going to jump into my learning library. So my learning library is kind of evolved from my Course Junkies system, which I originally had. My Course Junkie system was originally just the course library and the course dashboard to help me keep organized and make sure I start finishing courses. Because as Danny so kindly put a little bit earlier, I like buying courses, but sometimes I don't complete them. And the idea behind the learning library is to help me complete them. But however, I was finding that there was a few problems with the way that I was doing the courses, because often I get I take a lot of courses that are part of memberships. And so what I wanted to do is kind of expand the learning library to also include memberships that I'm taking, a topic library, and also the books that I'm reading. So I use Readwise and the Readwise integration. I like to read quite a bit. And I read quite a bit on my lovely Kindle. And so I take highlights from my Kindle, and then I have them syncing directly into here, into my Readwise library, where I kind of take my quotes here, like so. And we'll go into that in a little bit, but let's start with the bit everybody's excited with, which is the course. Hello, Lizzie. Nice to see you. Time for coffee and viewing. Yes, I have my tea, but I'm not viewing. I don't know. So let's start from kind of like the membership library side of things. So I am a member of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 memberships that I have recorded inside of here. And so each of these memberships, which one is the most set up? Probably that one. And so inside of here, I have links to the cost, how much it costs, whether it's an active or paused or cancelled membership. The payment type is whether it's monthly, annual, or lifetime. And also when I purchased it, as well as a link to the courses database. So this is a relational database to my course library, and it pulls it in here. Then if I'm an affiliate for this, then I have the affiliate link, and then a link directly to the community. So whenever I want to study or work on stuff, I can just literally click this button and get taken straight there. Then I have related notes, which we'll dive into a little bit in a moment. I don't often have notes that are related directly to the membership. Primarily, it's done in the courses instead. Then we have related meetings, which is just a linked database, relational database to my meeting notes. So if I have meetings related to the membership, I can keep track of them all here. And you can see in here, I've just recently did a conversation where I make a shit ton of notes. And that has a link to the courses that are related, that were mentioned, things to look up if I have any resources that I want to look up. I added something in here. It appears on my homepage, as you saw a little earlier on, and shows everything I need to. Then we have a link to the membership library, as well as key takeaways. So that's another A&E entry. So A&E is anything and everything. That is not my idea. That was the wonderful Notion Goth. She came up with that idea, and I happily and lovingly stole it because it's a lovely way of finding a place to put stuff when you don't know where to put stuff. Inside my anything and everything goes. And I love how it's kind of helped me figure out how to make connections between all of my databases. It's kind of a catch-all for everything, whether it be testimonials, whether it be lesson notes, whether it be course notes, whatever it might be. This is a catch-all for anything and everything. And is also how I feed in from the Save to Notion, which is an extension I have on my computer, on my browser. Well, I've lost my Notion. There it is. And so right at the beginning, what always has to happen is adding the monthly cost, setting the purchase date, and adding the community link. And then what happens here is it tells me how much it costs. So if we just pull this out, you can see there you go, the annual cost and how much it costs. It also shows how many courses are completed. So this is a roll up of this. So once a course is complete, it's ticked, and when it's completed, it will come up here. And then this gives me just an overview of how much it costs me a year for being a part of this membership, which is a lovely formula, which basically checks to see, because there are three options. It's either it is a lifetime payment, which means it's a one-off payment, which means the only cost is literally how much it costs. If it's a monthly payment, then obviously I times the cost here by 12. Otherwise, I just set it to number if it's free. And the same with annually. If it's annually or lifetime, it's only one payment. So I just show annually and manually one payment. Nice and simple. We will hide that. So that's the membership library. Pardon me. And you can see we're linked into the courses here and the notes that are about the courses linked to this membership, which is lovely. So let's jump back now into my learning library and jump into the bit which I'm most excited about right now, which is the courses. So we have 2 pages on the courses. We have the library, which is just basically a full page database of all of the courses that I'm taking. I am not opening that one right now. We're going to go into this one, which is much prettier and much nicer and looks good. And so here I have all of the courses that are a high priority one that I'm working on right now. And on the right hand side, I kind of have a little automatic progress bar. Not 100% sold on the progress bar yet. Don't know whether I like it, whether I don't like it. It's there just to play with at the moment. And these are all of the courses that are high priority to me, filtered by priority as high, archived is unticked, which is a formula, and whether the purchase is within the last year and the progress is not completed. Then on the right-hand side, I have a number of other courses that are paused within the past year and isn't complete. And we'll just pretend that most of these are things that I'm going to be looking at later. Then underneath here, we have by cost and how much money I have spent on all of these courses that I am currently working on. And this is very simply just a sum. All of the courses that I've not started cost me $43, which is not entirely true because some of these courses just don't have prices or are part of memberships and are still being worked on. Then on the right-hand side, I have all of the courses that are in progress right now, that I'm working on right now, and they are how much they cost and how much money I've spent there. You can see how much my course addiction is costing me. Isn't it great? And then we see on the right-hand side how many completed courses that I have taken and have completed and how much they cost me in total, which is great. And it's really useful to terrify the absolute shit out of me so that I complete more courses. And suffice to say, as you can see where completed is higher than in progress, it's working. Then we have my topic library. The best one to look at right now is my email marketing one, because that's something that I'm really focused on right now. And so we have a topic library which kind of goes through a number of things. So when it was created, so that I know that I created this topic at this time, so I can filter. It then links to any courses that I'm doing, as well as any particular lessons that I want to reference again. Then we have my understanding. So it's the level of understanding that I feel I have, the level of implementation, as well as a link to related topics. So if this relates to something else, for example, none of these apply, which is great. So we won't be able to do that. We then have a roll up of all of the related notes, which is basically related notes of the lesson property, which is literally just my A&E. And then related key takeaways. So basically a key takeaway is something that I've pulled out of my lesson notes and put in it as a separate entry in itself. And so that's how I use the key takeaway. And then we have a roll up of when the last lesson was edited. So all of the lessons related to this were last edited 7 days ago. Then we have related books, then related content that I've produced as well. So I'm linking it to my content calendar. If I ever want to write content about email marketing, I can use this as a reference point and be able to see extra bits and bobs in there. And then related meetings, if there's any meeting notes related to that. Then here we have the 3 courses that I have that are specifically tagged and related to email marketing, and what ones I've finished, what ones I haven't, as well as the one that's right at the top. Then why I'm taking the course. That's really important, because if you don't know why you're taking the course, it's very easy for you to just go and buy courses willy-nilly. I never do that, of course. Ever do that. And this is kind of like one of the lessons. And this is one of the articles that I've tagged particularly with email marketing, which is fantastic. And I love it. Any questions so far? If not, let me know. It'd be good to hear if you have any questions, anything you want to see in particular, anything you want me to dive into deeper. Otherwise, I will go back to continuing talking about my courses that I'm taking. Oh, cup of tea. Lovely. So I'm going to take a moment just to appreciate this absolutely flipping adorable icon. I am having a moment with incredibly adorable icons right now. I blame a Nerdy Notioneer and the Notion Goth. It is both of your faults, and you know it. You absolutely know it's your fault. The Notion Goth has asked, do you use your topic library right across your space? I am planning to, yes. That is my plan for the topic library. It is still really new right now, but I'm thinking of applying it across my space with everything from content to tasks. Probably not tasks. That doesn't make sense. But primarily it is used for my course library, but in the future it may expand to my course content as I build out my kind of content, my content strategy, if you will. Content strategy. Yeah. I will expand it further. But right now its primary use is so that I can see what courses I'm taking, so I can keep track of courses on specific topics, because otherwise I end up saying, oh, that's a nice shiny course. Hello there, lovely course. How are you today? I would like to take you. Let's have a conversation, and I want to take you out for a course moment. But unfortunately, if I have lots of courses that are related to the same topic, I can very quickly see what courses are related to the topic and make sure I do not get sidetracked by them. My notes and thoughts on a course are all over the place. Yep, so am I. That's why I created this, to make it much cleaner and make it much better for me. And transitioning to the A&E database has been amazing for me in terms of being able to easily organize my random thoughts. So often before, I had it as a brain dump or a notes database. For me, the A&E database is like my favorite name. And that goes without saying. Like, whenever you're creating something, just because someone names it something doesn't mean you have to name it the same thing. So I've had conversations with quite a few people who hate the word projects. I know that Notion Goth is one of them. And so we have changed that to mean something else. So A&E, yeah, anything and everything. It's a slightly funny and punny thing. But yeah, basically the A&E is, well, it is a notes database and everything. Yeah, that's the best definition. A&E, put everything in there, then filter the shit out of it. That is literally what the A&E database is. It is a catch-all term for when you're just like, oh, this is a good article I need to read later. Quickly tag it, quickly tag it, quickly tag it. And that's kind of what I do, is I have a very easy way of being able to tag resources and just dump it in a database, so then I can filter and move it around. And by I say I don't dump it, I don't mean dump it, of course. A&E is a good name. Mine is notes, ideas, and quotes, but A&E. Yeah, my favorite, that's why I changed it, because I really did enjoy the A&E kind of terminology of it being notes. And it kind of combines all stuff. So ranging from ideas of products that I want to look at later, content I want to consume later, research for articles that I'm writing. What else? Testimonials I receive when I speak to people. That's something else that A&E contains for me. Oh gosh, what else? Do you know what? It might actually just be better to show you exactly what A&E contains. That might be a good idea. Let's see that. No, that way. Okay. So here is a key takeaway from a course. So this is a key takeaway that I've taken from a course, and I'm now going to click this button so that we have the absolutely flippin' adorable icon. I love the icon. Look at the icon. Just take a moment to really enjoy and fall in love. Ooh, thinking of converting it to room of requirement. Yeah, I like that. I like that. That is kind of that's yeah. Yeah, there are so many names: notes, resources, research, knowledge labs. There are so many names for it. For me, I just love the A&E term because it just made me smile. So yeah, but a room of requirement. I like that. So this is an entry in my A&E database. Now, this personally is a key takeaway that I've taken from a course. And so let's jump in here, and I will show you all of the properties here. They're not as many, but there are some. There are some properties. There are 13 properties. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 22 properties. My properties are growing. Danny will love it. So we have at the top, we have the done. So whenever I have a key takeaway, normally I have completed the learning on it, so I tick it as done. This means it doesn't show up in my learning dashboard as something I've still got to work on, because I import the lessons into my A&E. This is a way of me going, I have studied this, I have learned this, I have taken this away, and it's really important for me to reference again. And so I have the done tick box to say, hey, I understood this. First rabbit hole of Notion, then rabbit hole creating your own icons. Yes. No, I didn't create my own icons. These aren't mine. Unfortunately, I am nowhere near that graphically talented. This is the kawaii set from Flat Icons. So yeah, they're freaking adorable. I have a whole set of them and I love them. Oh my god, Lizzie, I'm stealing that name. Goes to my dashboard, which is called Common Room. Excellent. I like that. The Notion Goth said, I found that research limited me so that I didn't feel right putting notes in there. And when it was called Knowledge Lab and Hub, it limited not putting ideas in there. A&E just works. Yeah, and I'm reading this out because it's exactly the same conclusion I came to since using A&E, which has been a couple of weeks now. I have found it much easier and removed a lot of friction from my system because I could just very quickly bring something into my Notion, set it as whatever I wanted it to do, and view it inside of a dashboard depending on how I wanted to view it. And so we'll dive back in. So here is my A&E database. This is a key takeaway. So at the top we have the done. It means I've kind of looked at it and seen it. Key takeaway is very simple. It basically, what I have here is not empty, prop key takeaway if it's true or if it's false. So here I've got like a key takeaway relation to itself. So basically this links back to the lesson. So I probably should call that lesson rather than key takeaway. That might be a better idea. There we go. See, this is the original lesson and it shows a key takeaway underneath. So you can see that this was related to the lesson. This is the lesson. And on the right-hand side, I had the key takeaway related to the lesson. So that's how that works. Then we have, I've just jumped ahead, we have the link. So if it's linked to something in particular, I will link it. But mostly for my key takeaways, I don't ever do that. Then we have the created, last edited. Then we have the person it's related to, if it's related to a particular person or a particular client. Related note. So this is another note. So I'm kind of cutting it down, making it lower and lower. Then we have a lesson. If it's a lesson, it's the same relation. It's just viewed marginally differently. Then we have the related project, if it's related to a project. Then for whenever I have a swipe file, I have whether it's an unsorted swipe file, email, sales page, personal blog, inspiration, or Facebook ads. If I'm inspired by something, it gets tagged and pulled in. Then we have something that's related to my offers database. So these are all of the products that I have for sale, the things that I'm offering. So if, for example, in my A&E, I've kind of got a testimonial about a piece of content that I've done or an offer that I have, I pull that into here. Then I link to my content calendar. So when I'm doing research on an article, I pull in different articles. I take snippets of articles, put them into my own words and just kind of for inspiration. And I have that inside of here as well. So I link the two. Then if there's anything particular related to the membership, not often that I put things related to membership, but just in case if it doesn't fall into a course, it just falls into the membership, overall membership, I put that in there. Then we have the type, which is how I do all of my sorting and all of my filtering in the different places. We have key takeaways. So if it's a key takeaway, a quote, if it's a quote. So this relates to my Readwise library. So if I like a particular quote that I want to pull out and bring to the forefront, the difference between a key takeaway and a key takeaway is in my words, a quote is in theirs, obviously, directly. Then we have a lesson. So this is where all of my lessons are filtered into the different courses. We have my swipe files. So if it's a swipe file for something that I look at, I'm like, oh, I really, really like that. I want that. Then I have that there. Then we have resource. So if there is a particular resource that I want to look at and review later, then or something that I'm kind of inspired by to create a piece of content, I can tag that in there. We have the product ideas. So if I have a rough idea of a product that I want to create, I can do that in there. Then we have the testimonial. We have an idea. So if it's just an idea that I want to capture really quickly before starting to dive deeper and playing with it more, I have that there. Then we have operations. So this is related to kind of SOPs, like standard operating procedures, information for my my teammates, all of that stuff. And then we just have a read later. If it's an article that I want to look at but didn't get time to read, I hit a read later. So wonderful question here from the Notion Goth. What's a swipe file? So a swipe file is basically where I store inspiration for content marketing, posts that I've watched that like if something if something persuades me to buy or makes me want to sign up, I pull that into a swipe file. So if I see a Facebook ad that I'm like, wow, that actually caught my attention. I love how that caught my attention. I love how they wrote that. That inspired me. I will tag it in a swipe file. Same with emails in particular or sales pages. If I see a sales page that I'm inspired by and I like the way it is and it sells really well, I have that in as my swipe file. And that goes to my dashboard. Kim's just gone toying with the idea of renaming my areas as houses, but that requires some tweaking with the areas themselves to make it fit. No, it doesn't. No, if you don't want it to. Okay, so that's a swipe file. And so underneath that, we have a number of different more beautiful little templates. Now, the key takeaway one is currently blank. But the one here is we've got a lesson one. So we're diving back into the course planner here. So I have the inspiration tag. That would be the same thing. Exactly the same thing. So inspiration swipe. Yes, correct. That is correct. Then we have, this is a lesson for my A&E. And this basically is a place where I start blasting notes down and having as many notes as possible, just a space to free write ideas. Then we have my reference section, which is the topics. So if it's related to a particular topic that I really want to pull out of the course and to look at again, I will do that here. If I have particular takeaways, for example, if I'm writing something here and something inspirational comes up, I can literally come down here, drag this, holding down Alt, and add that into a key takeaway. It will then automatically filter to the lesson. And it also, when I do this again, make sure it's tagged correctly, it will tag it to, where's the type? There's the type. Type is key takeaway. Now, obviously, there's something inspirational disappeared now. So I'm going to just move that out there. I do that filter again because it looks like the filter has disappeared, or who knows what with Notion, but we're just going to fix that there. And type is key takeaway. And so that when I drag that in there, it becomes a takeaway. Oh yes, a key takeaway straight away, and I can tag that in as a key takeaway. And then you'll see that this is ticked as a key takeaway as well. So it's automatically showing that as a key takeaway. And then I can make the absolutely gorgeous icon appear because it is adorable. And who doesn't love the icons? I don't think I've said that enough yet. And so that's how I add in key takeaways and stuff like that. I reference to topics because why not? And so that's that one. Then I know. Yeah. Then we have an idea, which is very simple. It is just, if I remember rightly, just pulling in the so it's pulling in the beautiful little cute, adorable freaking icon, which is just cute and adorable. What did you do with the Alt? So I held down the Alt key on Windows and dragged. That is copy, yes. So that basically creates a copy of the block that you've dragged. Yes, correct. So that's how the Alt works. And then you've got up the top, we got the bloody gorgeous icon. It's so cute. And then I basically only have one filter on here, which is to tag it as an idea. That's pretty nice and simple. And then we have a testimonial, which I think is outdated now. Yes, it is. And that tags it as type as a testimonial, and then link is a testimonial as well. This was originally when I didn't have my type tag, but now I have my type tag. This becomes a little bit more unuseful. Then we have a resource. So often what I do here, don't be blaming me for the icons. You're your own person with free will. Okay, maybe you had a lot to do with it. You had absolutely everything to do with it, and you know it. It is your fault. I blame you. And then in the resource, I have a link to the key takeaways. So if I have a resource, I pull this in using Save to Notion. And literally, I don't take the full article. What I do is I tag it and I clip it in Save to Notion with all the types and all that juicy stuff if it's related to a piece of content, blah, 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 blah. And then what I do is I go through the article and take key notes that I liked, and basically thanks to Keep to Notion they appear down below. And then if they are powerful enough to be a key takeaway, I use the Alt trick where I Alt drag and drop, and it's filtered to resource and is key takeaway. And that's how we do that. That is how we do it. And then we have the quote, which is very simply a quote. And then we have a swipe file, which is very simply just me pulling in the actual information as well. Do we have any questions on the A&E kind of side of things? I'm kind of jumping around a lot because that's how my Notion space works, because my brain jumps around a lot. So if we have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to go through some more of the properties at the top. So most of these are fairly self-explanatory. Feel free just to reply if you want to ask a question. I will come back in and look at it. Most of these are self-explanatory. We have a related person, note, etc., category, etc. And then we have the cover image, which automatically gets pulled in. That's just an embedded image. Another thing that I kindly borrowed from the Notion Goth. And then we have related course. So if it is a lesson from a course or a key takeaway from a course, I pull that in here. I also pull in my course progress. This is primarily for the lessons so that I can see when I'm making progress on lessons. I'll show you an example of that in a minute. And then it's the key takeaway course. I just pull that in again just to make sure I can see it and use it in multiple different ways if I need to. Then we have whether it's related to a book. So this is kind of primarily for the quotes. This is related to the meetings and the day. If I pull a piece of content in, I want to attach it to a day, I do so there. Are you afraid to drown? So this is a good question. Aren't you afraid to drown in information putting the same things in different databases? No, because I never look at I never look at the A&E database. I don't look at it as just bleh. I do not look at all of the A&E entries. I look at it very hyper-focused and zoomed right in particular spaces. Pardon me. I very much keep it like this. So I very rarely see all of the information. The only reason why you're seeing all this information is because I'm showing all of that. It doesn't show up half the time. Yeah, never open the A&E. No, I don't ever view the A&E database on its own. It's never, ever viewed on its own because it would be drowning in information. But for me, I do consume a lot of content. I do watch a lot of things. I do take a lot of courses. I never look at everything at once. I look at things in very filtered views. So let's kind of jump back to the course so you can see how I look at it from a perspective, from that perspective. So often with my course library, I hide most of the relations. I hide most of them because I don't need to see them. I just view information here. And for me, I view these in different categories. So this is 1, this is 2, that's how I view it, is separately. Yeah, filter. Like, just abuse those filters. Filters are a really powerful and I think underutilized feature of Notion. It's kind of like use it a lot. So what is your thought process when it comes to deciding whether to create a new database or add more properties so a different type of thing can go in an established database, A&E and in general? When it comes to deciding whether to create a new database or add more properties to a different thing. No, okay. It depends on how I want to view the information. A&E is now my catch-all for many things. If I don't have a database with most of the properties that I need, I'll create a new one. Otherwise, I won't. It's all about how I want to view the information versus whether I just want to create a database or not. For me, I want things to be really easy. So often it's easier to add it into one type of database and then connect it up with relations. It's a personal thing. For me, I also create new databases when I want to have a number of templates, specific templates, because I'm not a fan of like this big long page of like 50, 60 templates, when I could split it out and have it in its own section, in its own space. I was trying to avoid saying that, but it genuinely does depend on your preference. Yeah, creating a database versus creating a new property, always a difficult decision. Often, for me, when I create a new property, it is whether I want to have it linked to something else or whether I need it to stand on its own. I make liberal use of the relations because if I want to hold data inside of something, I normally create a new database. So, for example, when it comes to my notes, like my lessons and all of my notes, I always add content most of the time. I'm always adding more kind of context to what I'm tagging. If I need to add context, it's a new database or it's a new type, which is what I've done with A&E. Or if I have loads and loads and loads and loads of templates. So, for example, for me, that's why my meeting database is separate from my tasks. Because although strictly speaking, a meeting's a task, I have lots of different kind of templates for my tasks. Templates for my meetings. So I want them separate. So I'm not looking at a page full of like having to scroll to pull in a new template. So that's kind of the way I work. But the thing to think about is what is better for you? Like, what feels better for you? It's like, why am I creating a new database? What will that help me achieve? Could it go in an established database? If it does, what would be the drawback of having it in that established database? Does it need to be a new database? And if so, what is the purpose of it going in that new database? Why? Why am I putting it in a new database? Is it to make it simpler to look at and review? Is it better for my team? Is it something that is very kind of hyper specific? So, for example, my content dashboard is hyper specific, and there's a lot of context that goes around my content dashboard. So I need to be thinking about that. I hope that answers the question, Kim. It's one of those questions that is really hard to fully dive into without having more nuanced understanding of what's going on for you in your system. You just need to know what you need and what you want to really understand what's important for you. Okay, so if we have more questions about the course library, I'm happy to dive in. Otherwise, I'm going to jump back to my home and show off a few other little bits and pieces. If you have any questions about my learning library, let me know. Happy to answer them. But otherwise, I'm going to dive in and talk about a couple of other things that I have inside of here. And so let's dive into my playground because I like my playground. So my playground is my version of my product library, like all of the products that I'm working on, all of the services, the stuff that I'm offering to clients and customers and peoples who would like to work with me. And so, as you can see here, I've got this temporary section like product switch to new hub. So one of the big things that I was struggling with was keeping track of all of the courses and the offers that I had and knowing when I last did something with them. So I have a number of different offers because I like offering different options. And so I wanted to find a way of keeping track of those offers and making it easy for my team to help with support. So if someone didn't really have the direct link to get to the Course Junkies dashboard, they could just ask me, ask my team, and my team can come in here and find it. And so that's kind of the way that works. So let's dive into one of them. I'm going to come into here. And so we have, I mean, I've got a temporary property here. We've got the price point, what the problem is solved, the theme, which is kind of out of date now. I'm planning to get rid of that. The type, whether it's a digital product, a retainer, a consult, a done for you or with you, and a bonus. Pardon me. And then we have the status. So I have an active project, I have a dormant project, a retired project, an update needed, or a project that's in planning. A product that's in planning, sorry. So the difference between dormant and retired, a dormant product is something that is available, but I'm not actively advertising. Because I launch quite a lot of different things to suit a lot of different people, I don't promote everything all of the time. And so when something is dormant, it is available to purchase, but is not something that I am actively trying to sell. And then we have links to the sales page, the booking links, and then the direct to cart. I've removed these for this so that you don't sneakily get to all of the pages. Then we have the related actions, so tasks and things I need to complete, alongside a couple of other lovely little things which just opened up here. So a related person, when someone buys a template of mine, I add them normally inside of here. Once we have the API, I'm going to be really excited to be able to do this much easier. Hurry up with the API. Thank you. Then we have related notes. So this is once again a link to my A&E, and it is the inspirations and stuff like that. And it's also where I'm able to pull in feedback and feedback for what I've done. So you can see the little hearts there, which are just testimonials that I've received. And then we have the tech used. This is primarily for my team so that they know if something goes wrong, where to go and look. And so here at the top, we have the duplication page. This is primarily for my digital products, for my courses, which is here. And then I have kind of this offer creation and brainstorm. So I go through each of the stages. This is a template taken. No, he said at API. No, he said at API, you have cursed us, another 6 months waiting. Oh, come on. We all know it's going to be broken when it releases. I know I said API, but we're all looking forward to it. We all want it. We all need it. That's what we need. So I've taken some inspiration from a wonderful course that I've taken in the past. Yes, it's another course, Danny. Another one, another course. It's a course. I've taken inspiration from a course and brought in some of the questions that were asked, as well as a dump on like how to write my sales page. This is from Worditude, which I will include a link to if you're someone who struggles with writing copy, writing sales pages and all that stuff for your products and services and stuff that you want to do. I cannot like promote this one enough. I can share a link if people would like it. So here we have customer journey, info on the customer journey from the tech to the onboarding to the offboarding. And so there's that. And so we have the customer journey. So this is to start with. These are the tech that I'll use to launch it. So once again, this is just a bit of information, a useful information. On the right-hand side, I have a filtered view, which is basically used by me. I have created myself as a client as such. And on the right-hand side, I have the tech used for the launch. Now, this is a predetermined template, pre-created. And then we have a very simple overview of the onboarding. So where the welcome emails are sent, where my videos are hosted, where we host the content and potentially take payments, and then where we receive payments. And that's kind of like the details. And then it literally goes through this kind of simple explanation of how things are. It's kind of like an interactive SOP explaining how things work. And then we have the people who have bought this offer. I've removed them for the purposes of this live stream. And so just to bring this up, we don't need tools. So why do we need? We don't. I don't need an API. I'm making do with what I've got now, but it is helpful and it is useful. Just because you don't need and want are very two different things. I want an API. I don't need an API. My business will run a little bit smoother with an API, but right now it's fine. It's just a slight frustration. And also most of the apps have flipping APIs, but that's beside the point. So yes. If you have any questions about the offer, let me know. I have a number of templates which I will go through if people are interested. Otherwise, I will kind of glaze over. If you have something else you would definitely like to see, let me know. Because I don't want to bore you with stuff that you're not interested in. So I have a number of templates. I have the project-based one, the paid consults, the digital products, and then all offers, sorry. So you saw the digital products. This is my project-based retainer. This is the template. And then we have literally the offer, brainstorm, all of this stuff as before. And a few different things is literally where I posted it. So for project-based stuff, I have added this in, like where I'm posting it, the tech needed. Now you'll see that the template's already pre-done this for me. This just makes my life easier as I know that this is something that I use most of the time. And the same thing here, we have a different onboarding, a different process, and then the people. Now for this, because it's project-based and retainer, I have that in there. And then we have the offboarding. So if people want to cancel, that's where they go. This is the offboarding process. So it's kind of like an interactive SOP for my clients and all of that solution. So that is that one. And then we're going to go to the next one, whatever that might be. Paid consults. Same thing again, very similar. I like to keep things very similar, but there are subtle changes which helps everybody know what's going on. And sometimes I have multiple ones at the same time. Buyer, same thing again. And pretty much that's all of those that are the same. Let's go and see chat. So reducing a friction point. Yes. If I can reduce a friction point, then I'm happy to do so. But sometimes the friction points can't be reduced. So that's sometimes you need a little bit of friction. Where is your backup solution for your Notion space? I have a backup solution, but there's no point in discussing this here because it's boring. Stop being combative, Danny. Do you have a personal tasks database in there? At the moment, no. I have a task database that is just the business ones. Eventually, I may expand to personal task database, but at the moment, I'm not storing enough of them in there to add it in. I'm just kind of adding them into the main task database for now. I haven't decided whether I prefer to do more. I'm still exploring that while I'm doing the rebuild. And so that's kind of there. And then as you can see with how I've laid out the offers, it is very much active offers and an offers in planning. This is the same thing. I view all of my dashboards. The dashboards, and the purpose of the dashboards is to see things from another level, for being able to see data filtered down. This goes back to the A&E. It's like seeing everything I need to see from a little glance. Let's return back home. So that's a brief kind of fly through my playground. What do people want to see next? What do people want to see next? I have been talking a ton. I want to know what you would like to see while I take a sip of my water. What would you like to see next? It might actually be useful for me to show you what is available. That might be a good idea. There we go. Let me know what you want to see. What intrigues you? I would like to know. I'm really thirsty. Do we have any general Notion questions? If we don't, anything you want to see in particular, or kind of brainstorm or see in particular, let me know. How do you plan your meetings? I'm interested because there's a meetings database. Happy to show you the meetings database. So my meeting planner looks a little bit something like this. So on the, I need to come in here and do that now. Here is my meeting planner dashboard. And so what I have here, these are all the meetings that are in planning. These are things that I'm working on. And yeah. So my meeting planner is here. I do a monthly call with my retainers every month. And so what I do is just click in here to create a call. Sometimes they have to cancel. And so what happens when someone has to cancel, I drag it back inside of here. At the top, I have to action or archive. So these are meetings that have been completed and are in the past and need kind of updating, tweaking, changing, referencing, etc., etc. And so that's that one there. And then here I have another embed so that when I come in, I haven't done it this week because it's been quite a busy week. I can see all of the tasks that I have to do, and I can just come in here and go through and go, yes, I have this here at this time. I have this here at this time. I can add it in very quickly and very easily. So, for example, I know that I have a couple of calls, and so I can come in here. I know I have something. I can come in here and just add it inside of here. Very quickly add that in. Set the date and time. So, and then we can come in here, set the type, which I think I haven't changed yet from my previous one. Is it this one? Can't remember now. I have too many templates. Notion, please don't do that. I don't know why that's there. There we go, perfect. So we have all that lovely stuff. Have it pre-filtered to the coaching call, like so. And that's how that works. I have that in there, so it shows me a little icon of everything. And I'll hide all of that. Don't need to see that. I can include a URL. If it's related to an area, I would link it to my area, but I often don't do that these days. That's kind of a bit that's separated before. Assigned to me, which should be always done. And so I have that in there. And so I can go through and add these in once a week. Another call for the API, because I'm just going to curse everything for another 6 months. Some of it works. I have an unofficial API integration. I have a few things that do go through in the way that I want to. So I have a discovery call with someone. I can add that in here. Excuse you. Excuse you. Put that in there, like so. So the icons help me separate things out. And there we go. That's how I use my meeting planner and how I kind of use that separately. My home, so often that wonderful used shortcut of Command and 1 or Control and 1 on Mac. And that's how that works. I can't show the retainer or the people database at the moment, I don't think, because I have to, I think I cleaned everything up on that one. So let's have a look at my content dashboard, which I'm currently working on at the moment. Once again, a Notion system is never done. It is always being worked on. It is always being updated and tweaked and changed and lovingly edited. And so this is kind of my newest edition, which I'm really kind of enjoying using. I have my content calendar here. So I have stuff that needs scheduling. So this is when when a write date is not empty and is not an idea. So I've got pieces of content that are articles that I'm waiting to schedule. I'm thinking of removing this. I don't know yet. Then I have ideas that I'm writing. So these are things that I'm working on, which is set on a filter of not empty, type is not an idea, and publish date is empty. That's why I think that this one and this one is kind of the same thing. I need to tweak that and change that a little bit, I think. And then here we have like just ideas. So often I'm writing articles. This is linked to something else that I was looking at. Oh, yes. So this was something that I did with The Notion Goth will know exactly what we're talking about. So this was so this one here. This is something that I've been working on. So this is another really good example of why I use A&E. Is because here is an idea of the blocked task formula, so which is something that I was working on with a nerdy Notioneer, the Notion Goth, and Ben something, and we were doing that together. And this is where I kind of am able to come in and play, especially when I'm often being asked questions on how to do things. Bloody midnight co-working session between us and Notioneer. Yes, it was absolutely a midnight working session. As this is a great as you can tell, we were in a very good mood when that happened. And so this was us experimenting with task blocking formulas and a formula to kind of block subtasks and tasks to make sure that things were open as we went further up, like so. And this was just me playing around originally. And that was also the Notion Goth's fault, because she went, oh, I wonder if you could do, what's the word? The task dependencies in Notion like you can in ClickUp. And my brain went, yeah, probably. And then was like, with a formula. And so we started diving in there. And this is literally just a whole... This is how we were, all three of us were working through and figuring out the how it worked and how we were going to make it work. And you can see it's linked to a piece of content that I want to write. And so at the moment it's to TFO, to flesh out. So it's an idea that I want to flesh out later on. And so it's all linking together. Yes, a lot of things that happen to my Notion is your fault. No, it's not. We love you, really. And so that's kind of another way of how I use A&E really tactically, because it gives me the space to just dump ideas down quickly. And so let's dive into the different templates, because let's face it, that's what everybody loves, is the templates. So we have an idea. The idea is literally nothing. It's just type is idea, no text inside of it, because why does that matter? Then we have the blog post, live stream, video, and newsletter. So in the blog post, pardon me, I have my full system of type is blog, publish location is Ghost, because that's the platform that I publish it to. Well, that's good. I got an hourglass to show that the first task isn't ready. Nice. Nice. I like that. That's good. That's good. I like that. Yeah. And so we have the blog post with the absolutely freaking adorable icon. If you haven't established the fact that I love these icons, then what are you even doing? Then we have my 3 stages of kind of like getting things out. It is brainstorming my post. So I always like to kind of figure out exactly why I'm writing something, especially as sometimes I get very inspired by things at a moment's notice. So it's like, why am I writing this post? What do I need to cover? What does it solve? So it's like, what are the key points I need to cover when I'm writing something, particularly my blog post? What it solves. So what lessons have I learned through what I've written? Through sharing this, I don't know. And then we have inspirations from other sources. And then the way I write my articles is very simple. It's like I just dump a ton of content, dump ideas, literally most of the time bullets. I just bullet out everything I want to say. And then from there, I expand the bullets into a fuller post. And then I kind of write inside of here. And that's how I write my post. Then from there, if there's additional things that I need to have done or that I can't do and my wonderful team can do, I come in here and add that in. That is just obviously up here. We have our business tasks. So for example, if I don't have time to create an image, I would come in here and assign that as a task for Rebecca to do. Then we have my completely original, not borrowed from anybody else checklist, where basically, does it cover everything? Have I made it sense? Is it good, clear to action? Just reminders to say exactly what I need to do for each post and making sure that I remember to do everything so that on my worst possible days, That promotion checklist looks good, John. I wonder where you got that from. Completely from my own brain. I got that all from me. I am a genius. No, that was inspired once again by the Notion Goth. Great inspiration. So writing, adding to ghosts, so uploading the post. This particularly was inspired by by the Notion Goth because I am terrible remembering adding the Facebook cards and excerpts. Terrible for it. So I've added all those in. Then when I'm sharing it to Twitter, mentioning it in recent live, shared to Facebook and Facebook group, and sent to email list so that I know I've sent it out to all the places that I want to send it out to. And then making sure to upload the cover photo, add the publish date and publish link. Then if I am working on a series of pieces of content, I can link to previous posts, next posts, and excuse me. And if a post links to an offer of mine, I have that tagged in here so that we can see what related products and related offers, so I can link them together. So that's the blog post template. Then we have the live stream template, which is always good. So we're going to load that up. Notion work. Do not load. Do not load. To clarify, because blog posts are so new to me. I made a checklist because I knew there were going to be things I forgot. I showed John and refined our own versions. Yes, of course. Yeah, and that's very true. It's like we all learn from each other. That's something to. Of course, we both tease and wind each other up because it's funny. But yeah, don't ever feel you have to be 100%. There's no such thing as being 100% original because it just doesn't exist. Obviously, credit where credit is due. Notion, credit where credit is due. We all take inspiration, and the best possible way of learning is to take inspiration and turning things into what works for you. And so the brainstorm for my live stream is very similar. It's the same thing. I take this kind of way of working for almost everything I do. But it's slightly different with this. I have schedule because this is a live stream. So I have the topic points that I want to cover. An example of the thumbnail. Gail just popped in between appointments only to find John's page making orange look beautiful and so practical. Don't make me love orange. Seriously good looking workspace, John. Thank you. You will fall in love. If orange is used sparingly and it looks very good against the dark mode black background, it does look really nice, and I'm really happy with how it looks. So yeah, thank you, Gail. I'm glad you like the orange. Nice to see you. I think the orange is making me love both John and Danny. Mine is orange too. Yay! Orange! So yeah, this is my live stream one with the topic points, the things I want to cover. The thumbnail, the 3 title ideas. So I am trying to improve my titles, but they're not always the best. Thanks to Danny for his, feedback and support on getting decent titles. And then because there's a lot that goes into planning a live stream, I have this series of things that I want to do. This is more kind of a copy of what the Notion Goth did. So it's like before schedule, I have to create a thumbnail from template. This is a link directly to my Canva. So I don't have to go searching and typing in. I literally just click this link. It opens up my template, which I have for all of my thumbnails. I have a short, catchy title and just kind of some reminders to let me know to remember to make it do that, and to have that there. Then I have, when scheduling, adding the short, catchy title, upload thumbnail, create the description, and share link to Twitter. What I'm actually going to add in there, 3 posts. That worked really well this time via TweetDeck. That's what I did this time, and it went down really well. And then an hour before, share link to live, and then post live, add tags to description, update title if needed, share to Twitter, and then update description with links. And then finally, try as I add timestamps as well. How do you do the thin lines? I did pinch it. Same Notion Goth's answered for you. Not that I'm saying you pinch lines from me, but I made mine in Google Drawings, 1500 by 30 pixels. I think mine's a lot smaller actually. I can't remember what mine is. But yeah, they're just images because unfortunately Notion's lines are rubbish. Is there a reason to use the checklist instead of tasks in a database? Still debating with myself how to schedule and do my content creation. For me, I like having it here. They're more kind of reminders. If I need to turn them into actual tasks, I'm not sure whether, there you go. You can see here I've got like additional tasks. If for some reason I'm working through, most of the stuff I do here is stuff that I do all together at once. I do it all in one kind of grouping. So I add the short catchy title, I upload the thumbnail, I create the description, I share the link to Twitter. I do all of that then, with an exception of these two probably. And so the way I decide whether to put it in the task database or whether I just have it as a checkbox is if I'm going to do all of the tasks at once in one fell swoop and I don't need to schedule it out, I will just do it that way. If, for example, say I want to have like an Instagram post created, like a Canva post created, but I didn't think about it until the last minute, so I need to outsource that to Rebecca and get her to do it, or pardon me, or for me to come back and look at it later. That's when I would add a task into my tasks database. Yeah, it is more of an aid memoir than actual tasks. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing for me. If, however, let's say, for example, I know that my calendar is really full, but all of these things I want to make sure I've already done. If that is the case, and I know that most of this, I know that my wonderful teammate can do, I will then drag that in and put that down here as a task. But often I do the pre-schedule all together, and then the scheduling all together, and then all of these I do together. So I don't normally do these straight away. So hope that answers your question, Lizzie, and I will keep going. Then we have the promotion thing. This is incorrect now because I just haven't updated it yet. And then the same thing again, previous lives, next lives related to products, stuff that I'm going to advertise or talk about on the stream. Same thing there. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, literally the next one is exactly the same. I can't remember because I've been working on so many things. Video. So the video, I think, is literally the same thing. Let's have a look. Just to remind myself. Yeah, it's really about knowing what works for you. So for me, because I've done this long enough, and I spend a lot of time in Notion, I don't mind it being just a checkbox to remind me. If you're someone who is likely to miss things and would rather have lots and lots of little tasks that you have to complete, then I would definitely suggest you add it into a task manager and put it in there and have it there, and work like that. However, it is very much dependent on what works for you, and you just gotta, if something of mine doesn't make sense to you, don't use it. Basically, know exactly what you need and why you need it. I know for me that I find too many tasks overwhelming. When I have a list of like, if I'm working on like 5-10 pieces of content, yeah, that's kind of what it is. That's why I've put it in my templates. It's right at the bottom, but I don't have as much at the top as John does. So as I'm scrolling down to complete the piece of content, they're on the screen. Yeah, I have an awful lot of content on mine. Yeah, so that's kind of, it's all personal preference. And then pretty much it's the same thing here, thumbnail, 3 title ideas, and then it kind of goes through the before scheduling, the uploading, and the socials, and then the promotion, and then the other. It's exactly the same template. Cool, don't have to show that one again. And then we have the newsletter. This one I'm kind of proud of. This one, pulls in all of the pieces of content that I've learned. So at the top, same thing again. The brainstorm, if I need to brainstorm a newsletter piece that I've done. I have a summary of what I've worked on, but often I don't use this because inside of here, I have seen these are the 2 things I've published this month. This is what I've learned this month and things that I've quoted or lessons that I've taken, and it shows it up here. And what I really love to do here, and this is inspired by Danny, is I hold down Alt to copy and bring these out. And then all of these things that I've worked on this month, Notion don't break, do it one at a time, because we know what happens. And so then that way I can turn things into text, like so, move the copy of, and then I can kind of expand on that and create a newsletter article based on what I've learned and the things I've published, just to give me some inspiration on what I want to do. I do my content just on one day, Saturday, so it'll declutter my task list to transfer it back into a checklist. I see. So I release quite a bit of content and I do it kind of in dribs and drabs. So once again, think about what works best for you. And just try things out. Don't be afraid to kind of test it. You may be surprised at how much you can do if you just, test things out. Thank you. So do I. It's flipping adorable. Absolutely cute. I see adorable, cute faces on there. It's just adorable. I love it. And yeah, so I have my curation this way. It is a really nice way of working, and I really enjoy that way of kind of curating my content so I can release a blog post or a newsletter. Eventually, I'm going to be doing 1 newsletter a week, but at the moment, it's just kind of when I feel inspired. And so that's how that works. That's the newsletter. And yeah. Like so. Now come back home. Come back inside of here. So that is for now. I have a meeting in like a very, very short while. So unfortunately, we will have to end it there. If you have any questions or would like to see anything else, or for me to do a summary or a recap of what you want. Where can you sign up? Yeah. You can go to need to do a co-working session to get my newsletter template up to stuff. Where can I sign up? You can sign up at, I'll put it in the comments. I do that? I don't know. Just go to that link. Simplicityspecialist.com. I think that's correct. I'd laugh if it was wrong. No, I wouldn't. I'd cry. Go to simplicityspecialist.com and then scroll down to the bottom and you will find a place to sign up to get my wonderful content. I'm going to be doubling down on newsletter content in the near future, so expect to hear a lot more from my newsletter if you've not already been there. So yeah, that's how you can find me. So if we don't have any more questions, where can I sign up? Need to do a co-working session to get my newsletter template up to snuff. Yeah, sounds good. I like co-working sessions. They're always good fun. If there aren't any more questions, I'm going to catch you guys on another live. I will do another live soon. If you have any everlasting questions, if you're watching this on the replay, let me know what questions you have in the comments and I will very happily reply to you. I will plan to do a more kind of streamlined videos on each of the individual sections in the future so that you can see exactly just very detailed, highly descriptive stuff on what I'm doing. If you have any questions or some inspiration that you want to hear more about, let me know. Just as a point of just explaining, remember that this is my system, and as in this is how I work. It is completely and utterly tailored to how I think and why I work a certain way and how I work. So whenever you're thinking of implementing anything of what I do, if from something you've seen in here and you're inspired, really think about why you're going to do it before you do it. Don't just dive into it and add it. Don't just dive in and add it because it looks good. Think about the purpose and why you've really done things, why you've created something. There's a lot of kind of boring background thought on why things work when I first start using them. So yeah, thanks a lot. Didn't go back to work. Sometimes love to work at home. I'm glad I could join you in your home working thing, English. Thank you so much for the tour. Thank you, Notion Goth. It's great to see you as always. And Kim, I probably won't be on Daddy's stream later, sadly, because I have lots of calls and I'm about to need to jump into one pretty much now anyway. And then thank you. Love seeing your system. Good. Really glad. If you have any lasting questions, come back in on the replay and leave a comment in the description below. Otherwise, I will see you guys next time. You guys take care. Bye.